Good afternoon, everyone, here at Speedrunners Arena. No, there's nothing wrong with Twitch. This isn't a VOD. We are back with NixIssues and HorrorDoesSpeedRuns for round 2 of the grand finals. Why, you ask? Because NixIssues won round 1. He came up from the losers bracket, or Ethan bracket. Sorry, it's a nicer way of saying it. I apologize. And we are now in round 2. So whoever wins this takes it home. So this is the final of the RE7 speedrunning tournament. I hope everyone's having a great afternoon. It's a little early, but that's okay. That's okay. It's nice to be like, okay, we're done with this. Now let's go on with the rest of our day. But for this next hour and a half, you're going to want to get comfortable and watch one heck of a race between NixIssues and HorrorDoesSpeedRuns. Both amazingly good runners, as we saw in the last race. 6 seconds apart, which is intense. So we hope to see more of the same this afternoon. So we will be starting in a few minutes. Hope you're all ready. The runners are getting prepared. Last race, majority of the race was almost in sync. So hopefully we get to see more of that this time, because like I said, these two runners are incredible at this game. So it'll be nice to see that a second time. New strats that came up with last week that even I didn't know about. So we'll be seeing those again today. So it'll be really, really, really cool. We should be starting in about 30 seconds. Everyone get prepared. As Scar would say, be prepared. Not the new one, the old one. The new one, they kind of messed that up a little bit, but the old one, that's where it's at. So good luck to both runners. Good luck to Horror and Nix. This is going to be super fun. All right, starting in 10 seconds. Let's get going. Thank you, Seawolves. I appreciate it. All right, here we go. Countdown. And Nix is off. Horror should be following suit shortly, so we're not going to see too much of a sync, but that's okay. Don't you worry about that. I'm sure they'll somehow end up in sync at some point, because that's how good these two runners are. All right, here's Mia. Yasi, take it in. This is everyone's favorite intro. Everybody's favorite intro. But here's your introduction to Mia, your lovely wife that you are traveling all the way to fake Louisiana for, because she sent you an email that you did no background check on whatsoever, but just gonna go in your Evil Dead style car. The beginning of this race, also known as Guest House. It's pretty straightforward. A few little tricks here and there, but nothing too major. A lot of the tricks come later on in the run, once you get to the main house, once you get to the main game, and as most people say, when the run really begins. There is a few little tricks that you'll see the runners do in Guest House, more so on PC, especially certain fights that are going to happen in Guest House. PC has a bit of an advantage over console. So I'll explain those as we get there.
Ist Ethan. Oh, hey, alles in Ordnung?
But the other thing about this game is No skippable cutscenes until the very end. Well, not the very end, but pretty much the end. They need to tell you the story. Capcom made sure that you needed to know the story. You can't skip it. Although the cutscenes are really nice, don't get me wrong. The RE engine is a very beautiful engine.
Dalvey, Louisiana.
Mann, es sind jetzt 3 Jahre.
Ich weiß. Aber was, wenn sie's ist? Ich muss rausfinden, was passiert ist.
Horror may not just have a timer up. It's really unnecessary for one. And at the end of the day, we go by in-game timer anyway. So having a timer on screen is more of like a luxury for everyone to watch as opposed to what really matters, the timer. Also, Nix uses an auto splitter, so his timer should match his run for the most part. I'm not even sure it would be even off at all, but we'll see. So both runners getting out of the car and the run starts. Now they finally take control of Ethan. They're going to make their way through this lovely forest. Don't bump into anything, but cut those corners as tightly as you can to get into that lovely guest house that Capcom said would have nothing to do with the main game, and they openly lied to you. Yes, so in the event of a tie, being this is grand finals, being if in the event of a tie, which is difficult to happen, it can happen. Yasi and I can speak from experience. It can happen. It will be judged by the millisecond on their splits. So both runners have splits up. So I'm going to drop down here. Nix is going to drop. Horror is going to follow suit very shortly. And they're going to make their way into the guest house. You're also going to see the first retry of the game. PC, a few more than console. There's 3 on console. There's a few more on PC. But the main thing here is to reset your maximum running speed. So I know I say this every commentary I've done, but it's a horror game. It needs to be atmospheric. That was what Capcom was going for. So they want you to slow down because they want you to experience the horror or the survival horror. But we figured out that if you retry when you get into the guest house, it'll reset your max running speed, so you're running at your normal speed than before the game decided to change it. So that retry is really important because then you get to move through the guest house just a bit faster. And you'll see them utilize it again later on in the guest house. You're also going to see frame rate changes on PC. A lot of them are to move past enemies. There's going to be a major out-of-bounds skip that happens a little bit later that they're going to utilize changing the frame rate. If you don't change it, there's a potential that the trick won't work or you won't be able to squeeze past an enemy. So you'll see that a few times. The runners are going to change their FPS. It's important to note that the timer isn't running when the game is paused, so it won't hurt them pausing to change the frame rate. The timer starts again once pause is hit. Also during retries, the timer kicks in just before the load time finishes. With PC, it's not too much of an issue just because PC can load really quickly. Here's also coming up one of the first skips. There is a head that's going to pop out from under the water, and it's supposed to jump scare you, knock you back under the water. Whoa, spooky. But found out if you look to the right, oh, horror accidentally hits the head skip, not the head skip, the not head skip. Bear with me on that one. If you look to the right, you'll hear bubbling. Look over, the head won't pop up. Unfortunately, horror wasn't looking too far to the right, and the head did pop up.
Gott sei Dank habe ich dich gefunden.
Or body, I guess. It's not so much of a head as it is a body, but.
Ethan?
So that's gonna cost horror a little bit for sure. Nick's grabbing the bolt cutters as well as horror. Nix is also using the Xbox One controller. They're both playing on PC. Nix is pretty comfortable with the controller. Horror is using mouse and keyboard. So you'll see Nix do quick turn grabs, which is usually a console thing. It's an action of grabbing and quick turning at the exact same time. So you spin around with the item kind of like in the air, as opposed to like confirming the grab and then spinning around. Normally with mouse and keyboard, you can just turn around really quickly.
Süße, du warst
And this is the slow part of Guest House. Guest House kind of picks up after this part. So here you're going to see the runners kind of get their inventory ready because menuing is super important in Resident Evil 7. It's super important in Resident Evil in general. But for 7, it's pretty important, and it's also unique. So the cursor that you have to select your items will stay in place no matter where you put it. The only time it resets is when you go into an item box. But if you transition between characters, which does happen later on, during cutscenes, whatever it is, the cursor will stay wherever you leave it. So knowing where your items are is super important, and having your cursor on the next open slot is really important because usually the next item that goes in that slot is going to be the next item you're going to want to use. Although that isn't the case for this particular section, they're having their cursor on the bolt cutters because that is the next item they're going to use. And then immediately after, they're going to be using the next item to their left. So that's why their cursor is as far left as possible to the next empty slot. So, and every item you get will go into the next empty slot going from left to right. Unless it's a weapon, then I believe if it's a weapon, it will go into the shortcut keys, which are the top row.
Mia, weißt du wirklich, wo du hingehst?
So in this section, like Nix is doing here, you got to pass time somehow. All you got to do is just keep up with Mia, and then the scene will go the same way every time.
Dort ist es. Hier ist es.
So coming up here, both runners are going to run into this room to the left, and they're going to stare at a wall. Nix, I believe, practices his quick turn grabs here for a little bit. The whole point here is to have the next scene trigger, and by being close to the doorway but not looking at it, you're able to let the cutscene or the next scene play out or trigger, and then you're able to immediately leave the room. If you're too close, it won't trigger. If you're too far away, it'll trigger, but then it takes too long for you to get outside the room. So they're standing in the right spot where it'll trigger and they can get out quickly. They're listening for a yell. You can kind of jump ahead of it. It's really difficult. There is a timing there. But for the most part, it's a little bit easier to just listen for the yell and then run. Horror now, doing what Nix just did. Crossing the threshold of the bathroom, again, to trigger the next cutscene. The game needs you to do these certain things for the next part to play out. So the game wanted you to go into the bathroom. Because then the next part with Mia that's happening here would play out. All you really need to do is just kind of cross the threshold a little bit. We see Mia's lost her mind. Mia's crazy. But it's okay.
Mia, warte, warte.
That Buck Cherry song was written about Mia. Way ahead of time. So this part here, don't do anything. Just run toward Mia when you can. Other than that, don't press anything. The game really wants you to defend. Don't defend. It just takes more time. And then Mia is going to knock herself out. When that happens, you are going to want to kind of stay still. Some runners will position themselves. There is a way to position yourself, but the whole point of this next part is to get Mia to stand up on the earliest possible frame, which is about 10 seconds. Give or take, from when you can really control Ethan, or when the camera stops moving on Ethan. It's weird how I timed it out, but you'll see runners kind of position themselves perfectly so that Mia stands up as soon as she possibly can to trigger the next part, which is going to be the first Mia fight. This fight is going to play very similarly to the second fight that happens at the end of Guest House. You're going to grab the axe, and you're gonna swing into Mia's legs, and hopefully hit her multiple times at one swing. Nix having a little bit of trouble with the fight. Horror a little bit better. But when I say trouble, I mean like trouble in comparison to how they normally do it. So other runners would look at it and go, that was perfectly fine. And in reality, it was. But these two runners are top tier. So little mess ups like that, they notice. So,
Und was ist hier los?
but regardless, still really great fights. Mia's kind of weird with the axe. The axe can do multiple hits of damage depending on if you clip into her. And again, like I mentioned, the frames per second thing with PC, you'll see that kind of happening with Mia 2, which is coming up in a little bit. Also, second retry. Reset your running speed. Man, that PC load time is awesome. So now they're going to grab the fuse. If you're new to running this game, it might be something you don't pay attention to right away, but you will later on. There are animations of like the bolt cutters are a big animation, and being positioned perfectly when doing those animations avoids the game pulling you in to do the action, so it actually saves time if you position yourself perfectly. Nix did. I think Horror did get pulled in a little bit when he was using the bolt cutters on the to get the fuse. So it is a thing that happens. You start to notice it later on as you play a lot more where the positioning is. But the closer you are to the position the game wants you to be in, the less the game will pull you in. And here is the first instance of Zero D. So they're both runners are running the Zero D version. What does that mean? Well, that's the Japanese censored version. As far as what the censorship is, basically no body mutilation, so no decapitations, anything like that. So normally Ethan's hand would be cut off here, but in the Zero D version it's not. Well, we're not running it to be cleaner or anything like that. We're running it because it does save time later on in the game. With a certain key that we're going to be picking up, it skips a whole animation that you just do not have to do. There are some other things, little minor things that happen in the Zero D version versus the North American or NTSC version. But that's probably the big major one. All right, so here's the Mia 2 fight. Let's see if Nix and Horror can both get the one shot. On PC, you can hit her once. That is the minimum amount. On console, it is 2. Nix with the 1, very nice. Horror with the 1 as well, awesome. I believe both runners have that pretty consistent now, so it's very impressive to see. So, like I was saying earlier, issues with the frame rate. That's why PC can do it in 1 hit versus console can do it in 2. You kind of clip into Mia, and as you swing the axe, it does multiple hits of damage throughout the motion. So 1 hit will count as however many Mia needs to be killed. So getting that 1 hit is super satisfying. It also makes an awesome, like, crunchy noise when you get that. It's really satisfying if you run this game. So that was Guest House. Congratulations to both runners for having a great Guest House, and they're still, you know, even with Horror getting the body to pop up, they're still super close.
Komm schon, stirb uns jetzt nicht weg. Hast Arbeit zu erledigen.
But this is where, again, everyone says it, this is where the run really begins, because there's truth to that. Because Guest House is pretty straightforward. As a runner, you do want to have a good Guest House, like, don't get me wrong, but the real meat is from, like, here until probably, like, Lucas is where, like, a lot of your time saves are going to happen. There is still time saves in Mia, and there is still time saves in the second, or the last part with Ethan, but your big time saves are going to be from here till like, John.
Schon wieder! Geh mir aus dem Weg, Margaret.
Here's the Bakers, the lovely
Der Junge muss
family.
was
Aren't they
essen.
just terrific?
Muss sein Abendessen haben. Komm her, Junge. Los jetzt.
Family get together. This is the Baker's Christmas. And cutting off, or not cutting off in the Sailor D version. Lucas's arm is Jack's gift to Lucas on this fine Christmas morning. But look at how delectable all that food looks too. With that one candle, 2 candles. I'm sorry. No, there's 3 candles. I'm sorry. 3 candles. Just one is more prominent. But at least there's like salt and pepper there too. So like they know that there's like a that it's not, the food's not perfect. It needs a little something.
Ich wette, es ist wieder dieser Kopf. Verdammte Schweine. Ich komme zu dir zurück.
Also, this scene's pretty intense if you're playing in VR. This entire game is intense if you play it in VR. I recommend if you have a PS4 and you have a PS4 VR, this is one game you should check out for sure. Alright, so they're gonna wiggle out of the chair, and they're gonna go in the hallway, and let's get some prayers and chat. Hopefully they have 2 good hallways. So they're gonna grab this key on the corner table. Ooh, Nix got grabbed. Yikes. Horror? Horror, nice, okay. Only had to avoid the hit, not a big deal. Nix on his way back. Horror had a pretty good hallway. It's one of the better ones you can ask for. So the point there is they need to grab that key on the corner table, and they got to go touch that door. The reason why they touch that door is because they need to trigger a scene to play out with a deputy that's going to happen right after this phone call. That again is a mandatory phone call. There's only a few, but this is one of them. And to do that, you have to touch that door because the game wants you to have gone there. So you're already in that area. You might as well go and touch that so that you don't have to go back and do it later on.
Gut gemacht, Ethan.
So, stimmt's. Wer zum Teufel sind diese Leute?
And then after the phone call, they're going to get their New Game Plus items. That's what this category is, New Game Plus. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you. They had to use their New Game Plus items, which are the Circular Saw, the Albert, Infinite Ammo, and the Walking Shoes. Those are all items you unlock for completing certain tasks that the game wants you to do. One of them being beat the game on Madhouse. I hate that. But that gives you infinite ammo. But so the New Game Plus items are really nifty, really handy. Especially the infinite ammo and the Albert and the Circular Saw. I mean, they all are. But you're going to be seeing the runners utilize those pretty often, and you'll see them utilize it in another way, where all the other items you get in the game, if you toss them from your inventory, from your person, from Ethan, they just go away. But if you toss an New Game Plus item, it will go back into your item box. So they're going to utilize that a little bit later on in the run, so that they don't have to go back to an item box.
Daran beteiligt ist.
Okay. Ich sag Ihnen, was Sie wollen.
Okay, das klingt schon besser.
Here we meet the deputy,
Wir uns in der Garage.
where Ethan very stupidly asks a cop for a
Geben Sie mir Ihre
gun.
Pistole.
Sie haben wohl den Verstand verloren.
Schauen Sie.
But gets a knife in return, so.
Genau.
And you're going to be seeing the knife used for one thing,
Wollen Sie meinen Namen in den
and
Todesanzeigen
then
lesen?
that's it. No more knife.
Oder wollen Sie ein Held sein und mein Leben retten?
Unless, again, you watch Nix's knife-only runs. In which case, you will see them.
Ein verdammtes Taschenmesser?
Hier. Nehmen Sie's. Mehr kriegen Sie nicht. Los, jetzt. Garage. Sofort.
Was soll ich mit einem
So they're going to
Messer?
head into the garage, at which point you will have the first Jack fight. Jack fight's pretty easy. There's a few ways to do it. I believe both runners are going to do it the same way. They're going to use their Albert as opposed to using the Saw. The Saw is the safer strategy, but it does
Sie würden mir nicht glauben, wenn ich Ihnen erzähle.
it doesn't save as much time. I believe if you do the Albert strat that they're gonna do, it saves like half a second or something like that. But it's a little bit more risky because if you do miss the shot and hit one of Jack's iframes, Jack will just start driving uncontrolled. Yeah, Nix is going for that shot. It's really impressive to watch too. It's definitely one of my favorite ones too. So let's see what Nix does here. Boom, got him. Awesome. Horror. And boom, got him. Nice. Both runners pulling off that strat beautifully. And Siege, you notice something different? Nix and Horror both, and this is what I love about this game, is the way certain runners will move their inventory around. They're both playing the same game. They're doing a lot of the same strats, if not the same strats, but the inventory, the way it's placed, is very different. That's what's unique about this game, is that a lot of runners will put their inventory how they want, whatever's comfortable for them.
Hab ich deine Aufmerksamkeit, Junge? Du wirst gleich was Wunderbares sehen. Scheiße!
But both runners taking care of Jack 1, no problem. Great fight. Nix not utilizing the quick turn grab there. I believe he uses the mouse for just that in particular movement. So on console, you would do a quick turn grab there because you want to be able to start unscrewing the bull statue from the picture frame and then quick turn back around and start, moving the shelf. With PC, you can quickly do that as opposed to doing a quick turn grab. So, but it will unscrew when you put the painting, or I'm sorry, the picture frame down. It'll still be unscrewing, so in that time while it's unscrewing, you can move the shelf over. And this is where the setup for the out of bounds trick is going to start. They're grabbing the pendulum piece, at which point they're then going to grab another dog head from this book. And they're going to start out of bounds. So what out of bounds is, you want to guide Jack through the kitchen and hallway, a very specific distance. Well, not very specific, but fairly specific distance. To keep him away from you far enough to be able to access the next puzzle, close enough where you can get into the next room, get into the room that you're in once you finish said puzzle. It's pretty tricky. It is probably one of the more intense tricks in this game for sure. And Jack dropping at a good time for Nix. Horror, I think he dropped a little early on Horror, but I think he's still good. Nix getting the shot. So you want to keep Jack away. If you don't let Jack, like if you don't take Jack down in the hallway, like at least stagger him, there's a huge chance that he'll still make it into the hall, into the room. Even if he's not in the room yet, if he's close enough, the game won't allow you to access this puzzle. So both runners getting it, no problem. Now that's part one. Part two is once Jack gets in the room, they're going to guide him around the stairs or on the stairs. You're going to see a frame rate switch there as well so they can get by him. And then Jack is going to turn around and grab them. In that grab, he's going to push them out of bounds outside the house. Ooh. Whoa, look at that. We're in sync. We're in sync. Look at that. See, I told you. Told you it was going to happen. And both runners at the exact same time getting out of bounds. Awesome. You're also going to see them switch their frame rate once again to 60. So, yep, a little bye. I wish I had that on a soundboard for this. That would be awesome. Once they're in sync, just play a little bit of that. Everyone would be so angry, except for probably Yassi and Marforia and myself. So what does the out of bounds do exactly? Well, so the out of bounds allows you to grab a certain key card. Ooh, Horror having a little bit of problem in the dice. I'm sorry, the morgue, but still good. No issues. The whole point of out of bounds is to get you to grab a certain key card, which they did, the red key card, which you're going to need early on. It's just going to sit in their inventory until it's time to use it. It just saves you from having to go back into the basement later on to get the key card once it's time for you to start using them. But both runners now heading to Jack 2. Jack 2, in my opinion, is one of the trickier fights. You got to watch out for those iframes, but I believe Nix and Horror have that fight down. No problem. See how they do here. Nix going for the shot. Boom, gets the first one. Really nice. Horror also getting the first one. First one, in my opinion, is the trickiest one because there is an audio cue and there is a bit of a visual cue as well. But it is still pretty tricky. Nick's getting the second shot. Horror getting the second shot. Awesome. And Jack 2's done. So there is an opportunity where you can, or not opportunity, there is a, well, yeah, I guess opportunity. Where sometimes Jack will have iframes, and if you hit those iframes, he won't budge. And at which point you'll aggro Jack and he'll start going into his next phase. You don't want him to go into the next phase. In the first shot, you want to hit him perfectly, because if not, he's probably going to grab you. And if he grabs you, you're losing a lot of time. So, but that didn't happen to either Nix or Horror. Both having a great Jack 2 fight. No issues whatsoever. Again, this is why I said it. Nix and Horror are top tier. So. I don't know if that was on Nix's end or what, but Nix's stream did freeze a little bit, so it looks like he's a little bit behind, which I don't believe he is. So they're going to grab the Scorpion key there. And you're going to see a little bit of menuing here from Horror. So menuing is really important, like I said, and moving the cursor around and getting your menu or your inventory more prepared is best utilized in times where the game has a bit of downtime, where you really can't do anything. So when they put in the Scorpion key into that door, they have a few seconds of downtime. I don't know exactly how long it is, generalizing in seconds, but there's a little bit of time, and you've got enough time to move the cursor around, move anything around you need to really quickly. You want to utilize that downtime as best as possible. So for this trailer part with that phone call, normally the game wants you to go in, experience the what that trailer has to offer. There is an item box in there. There is a save recorder in there, but then the game would want you to leave, and then once you leave, the phone would ring. We already know what's in there. We don't really care. So just like the bathroom earlier on in Guest House, you want to cross the threshold and kind of come back out a little bit, and then the phone will start ringing, because this is one of those mandatory phone calls. So you don't want the door to shut and then have to go back out. It's much easier while the door is open to kind of dance between, you know, outside, inside.
Und wo ist es?
Wenn ich das wüsste, wäre ich schon lange weg. Aber ich habe eine Ahnung, dass meine Mutter etwas davon.
It's like Homer dancing on the border between Great Britain and
Also, wenn wir
America.
es bekommen, kann ich
Oh no,
wieder
no, it was Australia. I'm sorry, it was Australia and America.
Und ich auch.
That's what it was.
Das alte Haus ist nah beim Wasser. Kannst es nicht verfehlen.
Okay.
Ich hoffe, du wirst mit meiner Mutter fertig.
Deine Mutter?
Pass auf. Die suchen nach dir.
All right, we are now in the old house. This is Marge's house. Speaking of Homer, it's Marge's house. They're going to take out these nests, which are full of bugs that are really obnoxious, and Horror doing a really great job of getting through those nests with nary an issue. I believe Nix will hopefully do the same. You want to grab that shadow puzzle piece, and then they're going to head to this door where Margaret's going to surprise you with my favorite spiders. Now, what's really nice about the circular saw is that if you're holding it out when that action is taking place, or just before you reach that door, you want to make sure you have your circular saw out and ready to go. Because if you push forward while revving the circular saw, you'll just push through the door as opposed to having to kill all the spiders. If you do mess that up, you do have to kill all the spiders. But if you do it correctly, you'll just push right through the door. And Nick's getting it as well. Really nice. And now both runners are going to go get the quintessential Resident Evil item, the crank. Every Resident Evil game needs it. Every Resident Evil game has it in some shape or form. It has a crank, and RE7 is no exception. They're gonna grab the crank from under the stairs here. Now, this is one of those few moments where the walking shoes, which increases your max walking speed, which who cares? They're running all the time, you say. Right. But if you're crouch walking, guess what's part of that phrase? Walking, which means your crouch walking speed will increase as well. So that's one of the, there's 2 times where you crouch walk, and that's one of them. The other one isn't super necessary, but having the walking shoes in that part actually makes more of a difference than you would think. Horror showing off how blind Marguerite is. You want to stay just far away enough from her. Don't get too close to her, and she won't see you, even though you're maybe, 3 feet in front of her? She's got a lantern, for God's sake, that lights everything up, and somehow she doesn't see something right in front of her. Go figure. That's the point of the lantern, right? So both runners not aggroing Marge, which is really nice. If you do aggro her, she will send a horde of bugs after you, which will be very, very annoying. And Horror here getting to the Marguerite pit fight, or Marguerite 1, the first fight you're going to have with her. Pretty simple fight, all with enhanced ammo. You're going to shoot her with the Albert once, and then 3 times, 3 flurry shots with the G17 Magnum. And Marguerite will come tumbling down. Nice from Horror. Nick's about to follow suit. Like I said, Nick's had some freezing problems. I don't know if that was on his stream or if it was the restream or not. But Nick's isn't as far back as it may seem. In fact, I believe he might be ahead. I don't know. Obviously, in-game time is what matters, but visually, before any of that started happening, Nyx was a bit ahead. So, don't think if you're watching this for the first time and you've seen this game that Nyx is behind. Also, don't think that Horror is behind either, because if you've seen that last race, anything could happen. So here's the lantern skip. Both runners are going to look up once they get to that pit, because the game wants you to check out the lanterns that are upstairs. But we don't need to do that. Turns out all you have to do is look through the floor, and that will tell the game, hey, I know where the lanterns are. I've seen it. Can we just move on now? And the game will go, okay. And you see Horror does it there, looks up, and then walks off the pit in a specific way, drops down, and triggers Marge being able to grab her lantern, and you continue onward. So Nick's going with a different strat. I don't know if he did that one on purpose. There is a strategy to do damage to Marge a little bit beforehand, which is a really nice one. So he might have just been taking advantage of the fact that it didn't work out that way, that he didn't drop all the way through. There is a few different variations on that skip. Horror did one of them, and Nick did another. So that was really nice. Here's the March 2 fight. March 2 fight. Do as much damage as you can to her in that window. Then you're going to run back downstairs into the room that Horror is in now. And depending on where you're looking, if you're looking down, Marge will spawn above you. If you're looking up, Marge will spawn below you. She'll spawn in one of those 2 spots that are in that room. It's your job to pick. The top spot is a little bit faster. I don't know the exact time. I know Ross and Yasi do that one. Well, Ross, Rossi, and Yasi Hub, they do the above your head strap. I believe Nix does the from the floor, and I think Horror did the same thing. But do as much damage, and then Marge is going to jump around a little bit. When Marge is in the air, you don't want to hit her. You don't want to touch her, because if you do, she'll fall on her back and do what I have dubbed kickies, where she'll flail around and do a lot of damage, and you'll just waste a lot of time, at which point she'll jump up to the ceiling, and then she'll jump back down, and then you can kill her. It's a whole waste of time. Nix and Horror did not have that issue, so both Nix and Horror are having a good Marge 2 fight, killing her as quickly as possible. So very, very nice. So they're going to drop down and go back through the house and use that lantern that they got from Marge, because they need a D-series arm. Now, what you need to find to make the serum to cure everybody, apparently, you need a D-series arm and a D-series head. You know where the arm is, which is what you're going to get right now. The head Zoe has, which will, well, she does and doesn't, because someone else ends up getting it. But ultimately, you will find both pieces. And this is them getting that first piece. You're going to see a retry there. I believe that retry is specifically for this molded that Horror just killed. Normally, if you go out that door really quickly after that section, the molded will not spawn there right away, and you still can't walk, and then he has a whole bunch of iframes, so it'll take more than 2 shots. Doing the retry there puts you right there, and the molded will be spawned, so you can just one-shot him and walk through. That's one of the PC luxury retries. Like I said, there's only 3 on console. As of this moment, who knows what happens in weeks, because things change. But as of right now, it's just those 3. All right, so they're going to head back to the main house. They're also going to do a little bit of a skip here. Capcom wanted you to go into this trailer, get a phone call from Lucas to trigger the next part. In reality, all you need is for the phone call to trigger, and it turns out all you need to do is touch the corner of the trailer, and the phone call will trigger, and then the next part of the game will start to load in and unlock. Because if you didn't start that phone call and you decided, hey, I'm just going to go down to the basement, you wouldn't be able to do anything. I mean, you would be able to do stuff, but the parts that you need to do wouldn't have started. They wouldn't have loaded it. And then this is where the Zero D, the Japanese version, really comes in handy. They need to grab a key. Now, you saw earlier, Jack had killed that deputy. In the NTSC version, sorry, my cat is doing a whole bunch of weird stuff. Apologize. In the NTSC version, you would normally have to stick your hand down the deputy's throat and grab the key. In the Zero D version, it's very nice and just sitting right beside his body. No long animation or anything, so it saves quite a bit of time not having to do that animation. No, that's okay, Yas. The last time when you were doing a run, the dog was throwing things around the bedroom, and that's why you ended up messing up something. So no, it's okay. Having a dog and cat are completely different. So this is where having the key cards needs to happen. Now, normally what horror is doing here is you have to do this clock puzzle, go back downstairs in the basement, get the red key card, come back upstairs, and then get the blue key card. We don't have to do that since we have the red key card. Well, why would horror have to do that puzzle then? Because the game doesn't necessarily recognize that you have the red key card. Completing that clock puzzle right there and moving the bed off to the side lets the game go, okay, you should have this key card now, no problem. Do what else you need to do. So that's why you need to do that puzzle. If you don't do that puzzle and you go and put the key card in the door later on, the game's gonna soft lock, and that's good for nobody. Yeah, of course you did. All right, they're gonna head now outside the main house, and we're gonna go to Lucas's pad, his sweet bachelor pad, covered in plastic wrap, bombs, and blood. Because I mean, that sounds like a party to me. I guess I don't know. This is also a downtime. So most runners will go grab a drink, take a bathroom break, because again, unskippable. But they're gonna sit at this TV and watch the Lucas pull out his nails channel. Are they going different routes? They are not, no. One is way ahead visually, Winter, because there were some issues. I don't know if it was on Nix's stream or if it was the restream, but his froze a little bit, so Nix looks like he's more behind than he actually is. That's why we go by in-game time anyway, at the end. But no, they're going the same route. Also, Mar, look away. If people ripping out their fingernails grosses you out, please avert your eyes, avert your gaze, because Lucas is creepy and he does such a thing. I'm curious how he's able to get those like perfectly around his nail and not get any of his finger. I don't know if anybody thinks about that kind of stuff, but he gets the nail clean off, but none of his finger. Because those pliers don't look like very precise. Like he looks like he's getting like a chunk of the tip of his finger. I'll stop.
Ich will es ihm doch nur zeigen. Ich will ihm nur zeigen, dass nicht jeder zurück dahin will, wie es früher war.
Okay, so this next part is a little bit of a few traps that Lucas has set for Ethan, and you're going to see Nix and Horror, hopefully, very swiftly disposing of those bombs that Lucas has left for Ethan. They're going to pop into a few rooms, take a few shots, and take out a few bombs that hopefully will not get in their way. In the last race, Horror did have a little problem with the bombs. Doesn't matter how much you practice this section will still mess you up. Very nice, Horror getting those first two. This one of the doors, a tricky one. All right, ducks under, no problem. Gets that one, and boom, gets it. Really nice. So you can shoot the one in the door that Horror went for. It's a really tricky shot. You have to be lined up perfectly. It is cool when you get it because you just run right through, but Horror knew he missed it very quickly and reacted and ducked under. You can take a hit from the bomb, but you need to be looking at the bomb so that you don't get knocked over while you're blocking. Nice. Nix getting it very nicely. Nice. Very good bomb room with Nix. Getting all the necessary ones. Really, really nice. Horror also reacting very quickly to missing that one shot and having really no issues.
Ich weiß. Scheiß Passwörter, was? Probier doch mal 0814.
So like I mentioned earlier, the New Game Plus items, you get to drop them and they'll go back into your item box. The next section after this fight they're about to have, you are not allowed to have any weapons in your inventory. No items, no nothing. Horror having a little trouble with that bomb, no big deal. Ducked under, caught it, no problems. But you're not allowed to have any items, right? So what Nix did there and what Horror did there is they kept their New Game Plus items. Nix also keeps a heal there as well. Not a big deal either. But once they finish this fight, they're going to get into an elevator. And like I mentioned even earlier, you want to be doing stuff in your downtime. You don't really just kind of want to be standing around if you don't have to. So what they're going to do is they're going to toss their New Game Plus items while they're in the elevator, and Nix is also going to use his heal item because it'll empty out their inventory, but they'll still be able to get those items back once they go to the item box after the fight, after this next section. So, New Game Plus items are the only items that do that. Everything else, just either it won't let you throw it away if it's important, or it'll just get rid of it and you'll never see it again. Unlike Project Resistance, though, like, if you drop an item in Project Resistance, someone else can pick it up. Obviously, that makes sense because you have a team of 2 other people. Horror very nicely getting rid of that fat molded. Nix is about to finish up that fight. 9 Albert shots. Nix having a little bit of trouble with it, but no big deal. The button that they need to press is on a timer, so as long as you dispatch of the fat molded quickly, you're not going to really lose too much time. Also, the passcode that they're going to enter is always 1408, no matter what. Unless you tried to enter 1408 in that first part, it's always going to be wrong no matter what you put in, even if it's the right one, and then it will change to another passcode. Because it's only 2 really, but it's always going to be 1408 if you don't try to enter in anything else. Or if you don't try to enter in that one in general. Alright, here's the Escape the Room puzzle. The Happy Birthday puzzle. It is a super fun puzzle. Super fun section of the game. I love this part. Playing it casually. There's so much more you do in this. The speedrun doesn't do this section justice at all. It makes it look like it's complete nonsense, but when you actually play through it, it's super fun. But the whole point here is you need to light a candle that's on a cake. Or rather, put that lit candle on a cake.
Leck mich am Arsch!
Ethan, Wortwahl bitte. Wir haben Kinder im Gebäude.
And the runners are going to make that happen as quickly as possible. This is the loser puzzle. Everyone count to 5. That's all you need to do. It's 5, up or down in either direction. But you have to pick one. You either go 5 up or 5 down, and it's going to spell out loser. Heck yeah. All right, Horror. Finishing up that puzzle now. Nix is right behind him on that. Now with this bomb, you're gonna pull off that piece of wood, put the bomb in there, and you're gonna wait to the left of the explosion because it won't do any damage there. Don't know why, it just doesn't. The hitbox just doesn't register to the left of the explosion. But other than not taking damage, the more important thing is being able to get into the room really quickly, because there is a coughing animation that will happen if you're too slow going through that room. If you go through too quickly, there'll be no coughing animation. So Horror getting the items that he needs. We're going to go through the dock section. And now we also have the D-Series head. So now we have both pieces. But that also means we're heading into the big Jack 3 fight. Also a bit of a new strategy that was found recently. Normally they're gonna have to go and talk to Zoe, and they're gonna make the serum. And traditionally, the runners would just kind of like play around their inventory, make sure everything was good while Zoe was making the serum. But it was discovered that if you go downstairs in this next part and touch the item box, it will make Zoe make the serum almost immediately. So nice little skip that. Well, skip slash something. I guess it's a skip. I don't really know how to put it. But speeds things up a little bit. So this was found very recently. I'm talking like a week or two. So you're seeing Horror is gonna go down.
Zoe?
Yep, hit the
Zoe.
inventory. Yep, there we go. And the next part triggers.
Hast du beide Materialien?
Ja, das sollte genug sein.
So that's a really nice little time save. I don't know exactly how much time it saves, but any time save that's like really easy to do, just there's no reason to not do it. So here comes the Jack 3 fight. It is predicated on one major shot. It is the underneath or the under the tail shot or the undercarriage shot.
Wenn wir das Serum hergestellt haben, was dann?
They're gonna peek down in between the floorboards over here, and they're gonna shoot Jack in one of the eyes. It's only seen for a few seconds, so it's a tricky shot. Horror does get it, really nice. If you don't get it, the fight is much more difficult, and that means if you don't get it at all, there's another window of opportunity that you can get it if you miss it the first time, but no matter what, you're still. So, fortunately, Horror did not have that problem, and then they're just gonna take the saw to the rest of the eyes of Jack. Nick's getting it. Easy. And Horror's done. Horror's done with Jack 3. GG. Great. There is a quick animation that happens there with Jack, where he will just immediately, as soon as you pop the last eye, he'll start digging under the water and everything. Don't really quite know how that happens. It seems to be random at this point. I know people were in the lab for a while trying to figure that out and couldn't come up with a set answer. So for now, it is just something that kind of happens randomly. Hopefully one day we'll be able to figure out exactly how to make that quick animation happen. Nix finishing up with Jack now. Awesome. Horror injecting the serum on Jack, which means Jack is dead, unless you play Ender Zoe, which means he's not.
Jetzt habe ich alles gesehen.
And I do recommend people try out both of those DLCs, Not a Hero and Ender Zoe. Not a Hero is free, but if you get the gold edition of RE7 at this point, because why wouldn't you? Like, it has everything. Definitely play Ender Zoe and Not a Hero. Both of them are very good. Nick's officially done. And now you have to make an important choice. Pick Zoe, or pick Mia. You're gonna pick Mia. If you're a speedrunner, you're gonna pick Mia. If you have a heart, you'll pick Zoe. But if you're a speedrunner, you'll pick Mia. The reason why we pick Mia is if you pick Zoe, it does change the ending, but it will also change a certain part after you become Mia. When you go back to being Ethan, you'll have to fight Mia for a third time and ultimately kill her. Spoilers, I'm sorry. But you will kill her. So you have to fight her again. So if you choose Mia, you don't have to fight her again. So as a speedrunner, you're gonna pick Mia, so you don't have to do another fight.
Ist okay. Ich war dumm zu denken, ich könnte fliehen. Aber Zoe, geht. Geht schon,
Both
ihr
runners
beiden.
again really close. It's
Komm
tough
mit
to
uns.
say
Es
exactly
gibt sicher jemanden, der helfen kann. Hier ist mein Zuhause.
who's ahead and who's
Offenbar
not.
gehöre ich hier hin.
Again, visually, it's easy, but in reality, that's not the case.
Brauchst du nicht. Es
This
wird
race
niemand
is
von
much
helfen, der
closer
hier
than it
sein.
actually appears. Just like a rear view mirror. Mira? Why did I say Mira? Like from Dragon Ball? Not that Mira. And I'm from New York. We don't say Mira. Why did I say that? So here's another cutscene that you can't skip. You have to just deal with it. Some more downtime. This game is nice. For some people, it's nice having this downtime because it lets you kind of take a breather because there's a lot of action that happens in between each of those downtimes that can be really stressful. So it's nice to be able to put the controller down for like a minute and be like, okay. Okay.
Ethan? Vielen Dank.
Wen hätte ich denn sonst wählen sollen?
But this is when we take over as Mia. Everybody's favorite Mia.
Mia, ich weiß, du hast viel durchgemacht. Wir müssen reden. Du hattest was damit zu tun, nicht wahr? Sieh doch, ich will nur die Wahrheit wissen.
Ethan, ich erinnere mich wirklich nicht.
Versuch's.
Also, yes, everyone's favorite part, the boat.
Ist das das Boot?
And by everyone's favorite, I mean everyone's least favorite. It's not a bad
Ist in Ordnung.
section
Was zur
all
Hölle war
around.
das?
It's really not. It's just... It's fairly boring if you're playing it.
Was zum
Like,
Teufel?
I don't want to make it sound
Was
like
ist
the
das?
game is boring because the
Was
game
ist
is
das?
far from it. But this section is kind of like, meh, it's kind of bland. But with skips and not getting items, it does increase the anxiety level. So speedrunning this is actually way more exciting than playing it casually. There's Ethan Hawke. Not that Ethan Hawke.
Wie? Ethan?
All right, so we're gonna enter the boat. Similar to Guest House, they're just gonna make sure they take tight turns.
Ethan? Ethan?
You know, it's all about navigation here. But that increases the fun of it, though. Now you get stressed. Now it actually means something. A few flashbacks happen because this is where you learn why you're here, what Mia was up to, why she is in danger, who is Evie. Why is everything covered in mold? All those answers and more. Well, maybe less, but we don't need to know about Alan. All we need to know about Alan is that he dies. So another retry is going to be coming up for horror, and then shortly after with Nix. This one in particular is really nice because there'd be this whole animation where you drop and then get up and then have to recenter yourself and leave the room. Whereas if you do the retry here, you'll just immediately be facing exactly where you need to be, and there's no dropping animation or anything like that. So, see, there's horror is really nice. and Nix will be doing the same. Well, I mean, he does. I mean, well, rather she does. Oh, attack Ethan. Oh. I think they explained that in the story somewhere that, like, she is not allowed to attack him because of Mia. But then that goes all out the window at the very end, so I don't know. It wouldn't be a Resident Evil game if it didn't have plot holes.
Erinnerst du dich?
So.
Was? Was bist du?
Har and Nix are now going to grab a fuse, which again, very similar to Guest House. They're going to need to open a door. And this game has a really cool mechanic, and you haven't gotten to see it yet, and you will see it here. If you're playing it casually, it's a really, really cool mechanic. They use VHS tapes for you to go back and relive memories, right? So a lot of foreshadowing stuff happens there, how you're going to deal with the next section. Really, really cool mechanic in the game. And also, there are certain sections that if you leave the VHS tape at a certain time, it'll affect where you are currently. I know that happened in the demo. I don't remember if that actually happened in the main. But, yeah, it's a really cool mechanic. But in the speedrun, you don't do the VHS tapes, at least in the any percent speedrun. This is the only VHS tape that the runners have to do because you were forced to. The game will not continue until you go to this next part. The big question is who filmed all of this. That's really the big question. Here's Alan. It's Alan. Alan.
Was? Warum?
Well, that's because that's Evie's like side job. Is she's also like a Cupid type of deal. So she's a matchmaker. She's an evil bio weapon, also matchmaker. So. Just no one really ever takes her up on the matchmaker part. It's weird. It's canon. Check the book. There's no book. Actually, there might be a book. I don't know. So we are now at the Alan section. You're also in Past Mia now. So in Past Mia, there are going to be periodical phone calls that Alan is going to make to you. When you're in these phone calls, you cannot do anything. You can't interact with anything. You can't open anything. That's why Horror right now and Nix right after are going to do the first Alan skip, which is interacting with the mold, getting outside that room as quickly as possible, and avoiding a very long phone call where you have to just hang around in that room and do nothing. Horror gets it really nicely. Nix is going to do the same. And Nix gets it, very nice. There is going to be a second skip. It's not so much of a skip as it is just a I need to open this door, please move type of situation. Horror very nicely killing that molded in a way where it doesn't flop around. In that elevator section that Horror just did and Nix is about to do, if you kill that molded incorrectly, the molded will kind of flop around. And the elevator door will not activate until the molded completely dies. So by sawing his right leg, it'll kill him instantly, so then you're able to interact with the elevator and let the doors close right away, as opposed to waiting for the dead molded to fully die. Horror also now is going to be setting up... Oh, maybe not. Horror is now setting up the second Alan skip. Or bomb skip, or D, whatever. But the whole point of that skip is, like I said, when you're on the phone with Alan, you can't interact with anything. So if a door is shut, you can't open that door. So placing that bomb where Horror just did, and I believe Nix is about to do shortly, by placing that bomb and detonating it at the right time when you're close to the door on the way back, it will push you through the doorway. It'll push the door open, push you through. You won't take a lot of damage, really, unless you mess it up, which you can, at which point you will take a good amount of damage. But it's a good way to open that door and get through that next part. Also, walking shoes, really important here, because you are walking here. So you will be walking through this section faster while you're on the phone.
Evie, ich bin nicht böse. Warte.
And, ooh, horror gets the almost. So, what horror just did, I believe he did in the last one, too, in the last race. It's a really tricky skip, because the placement of the bomb has to be, like, pretty close. Because you don't want it too far away, because if it's too far away, it'll just explode, nothing will happen. If it's too close, then you'll do what happened with horror, where you'll take a lot of damage, and Nix gets it. There we go. So, you'll take a lot of damage. The door will still open, but it will open late, and you'll take a lot of damage. So it's kind of, it's good / bad, because you're also now on critical, which means you're walking slower. It's a big pain. Horror, though, Nix got it, where it just projected him through, opens the doors, and he's perfectly fine. So Nix getting that skip really nicely. So it's a tough one. I would argue that one is definitely harder than the initial Alan skip. The initial Alan skip saves more time, but this one is much trickier to do. So it's not to say horror didn't get it. It just didn't get the full one.
Die Notfallverriegelung wurde aktiviert.
Horror having no problem with that mold there. Nix, same thing, no issues. It's really hard to say that word after his name. It really is. You just feel like, oh, I made it funny, when it really wasn't. So here's Alan. I hope any of you Alan fans out there
Wie bist du
aren't going to be
hergekommen?
sad.
Wo ist Evie?
Alan's about to
Du bist
die.
außer Kontrolle. Ohne ihre Behandlungen wird sie verfallen.
Gut, dass ich schon sterbe.
Sag sowas nicht.
Dir vertraut sie. Das kleine Mischstück. Nie hat sie... Okay, warte.
You think like Alan could be like
Was hast du
on
gemeint?
Sie versucht, die Kontrolle zu übernehmen. Du musst sie
Teen Vogue or something like that. Like, is he that handsome? Because I don't see it.
Evelyn,
Especially
stopp!
right now when he's doing all this
Jetzt
throwing up and everything. That would be weird. All right. So now both runners are going to be finishing up the past Mia section. This part's pretty straightforward. Or doing a little bit of the other bomb skip where it pushes you toward the person that's running. It's a little flashy, doesn't really save much time. A few frames, from what I understand. But a little flashy trick.
Wir werden für immer zusammen
But when
sein.
you're getting to this level of play, those few frames like actually matter, believe it or not. Especially when the world record time is now highly competitive with the new entry into the ring with the
Ich erinnere mich.
current world record,
Eine
Ross
Familie
Rossi.
sein wie
Congratulations, by
vorher?
the way.
Nein, Evie, wir können keine Familie sein.
Wir waren nie
But
Eine Familie.
Wir werden das nie sein. Eine Familie.
it's gonna be really competitive for that top spot. So a lot of these great runners are really gonna pull out all the stops, and it's gonna be really cool to watch people trade off with that world record. Here's the long ladder. It takes forever. All right, so now we're back as President Mia. Gotta get the elevator to work. And with the elevator, you need a cable and you need a fuse. And we know where the fuse is. And, I mean, obviously the runners know where both items are. But storyline-wise, we know where the cable... I'm sorry, we know where the fuse is. Because we used it earlier on. Okay. We had a pretty epic moment last race where both runners got God Door right after one another. Let's see if we can repeat that. God Door is a very specific door that closes normally if you take a little too long, but if you get through this next room quickly, you can get through it without the door closing. It's very difficult to do. A little bit easier on PC, much harder to do on console. Horror, boom, gets it, nice. Horror with the God Door. Now let's see if Nix can get it. Can we get two God Doors back to back? Oh, that's it! That's it, it's over! This run's over! Both get it again! Very nice. So both runners get God Door. Awesome. Yes, it's much easier to do on PC from what I'm told. Console, it's very difficult. That probably explains my hype around it. I'm sure all the other PC runners are like, eh. But in console, oof, I don't like that door. Alright, so they're gonna go get the cable. Also, when you're in this section as President Mia again, you're not going to pick up any items. Horror did pick up the knife. It could come in handy if he needs it. Hopefully he won't need to use it. But they're not going to grab any items because all the enemies are very easily avoidable. And if you take a cheap shot or two, it's not going to be a big deal. Or not having to use the knife there, because sometimes that molded will kind of hang out in the doorway. But it did not do that for Horror. Gave him enough room to be able to get through. Nix, same thing, no problems. That molded was like, yeah, no, you can go through. It's alright, dude. I'm not gonna bug you today. Horror getting that quick drop. I'm sorry, Nix getting that quick drop on the elevator. Really nice. Or at least it looked like it. And you're going to see some more frame rate changes to sneak past some more molded. Horror getting through, no problem. Let's see how Nix does this. It's pretty easy to get through this part. Sometimes that fat molded will get in your way, but traditionally he's not really a bother, and no problem for Nix and Horror. And Mia section is done on Horror's end. It's about to be finished on Nix's end as well. And we're in the home stretch. We're going to be retaking control of Ethan,
Ethan.
and as Master Chief would say, finishing this fight.
Ethan.
But first, you got to sit through another unskippable cutscene. Pew, pew, pew. So many of them in this game. Here's one.
Was meinst du damit?
Get a little backstory on. It turns out that the Bakers aren't so bad. They're not that bad. They're actually pretty great. Well, except for Lucas. He's a bit of a jerk. But like Jack's not bad. Zoe's not bad. Well, Zoe's not bad the whole time. Marguerite's well,
Was habt ihr euch
dead.
angetan?
But Jack's not bad. It's all Evelyn's fault.
Sie hat uns mit ihrer Gabe infiziert. So nennt sie
So
es.
giving you the pull on your heartstrings a little bit, being like, oh man,
In einem gestrandeten
I did so
Tag
much
am Bayou.
to you, you did so much to me, and it turns out it wasn't really you. I'm sorry.
Sie hat
And then like
infiziert und die Kontrolle
Jack and
übernommen?
Ethan hug, and there's like this whole thing,
So einfach ist
and then
es
they
nicht.
play cards afterwards. That gets all cut out of the scene because they felt it was a little bit too long. But it's like this whole big thing.
Sie drängte deinen Geist
Zoe's
ein
making him like hot chocolate and
und deine
stuff.
Seele.
It's a really heartwarming scene, but went on a little too long. Kind of like this commentary.
Du bist mit ihr verbunden und hast einfach diesen Drang zu. Du bist danach ein anderer Mensch.
Genau wie Mia. Also hat mir Mia die Nachricht wegen Evelyn geschickt.
Hör zu.
Also obligatory, where's the TV? There it is.
Sie ist
That should have been part of the Zoe ending. I agree, Ron.
Okay.
I agree.
Du musst sie finden und aufhalten.
But seeing how close both of these runners are now, I'm really, really intrigued to see this end time.
Bitte.
I mean, I was intrigued to see the end time from the beginning, but again, as you get more and more into the run and watch these two runners race, you get more and more excited and go, "Oh man, like seriously, who's gonna win this?" It's so close.
dich nicht. Ich kann ihn dazu bringen.
Tu ihm nicht weh.
Dummchen, ich hab doch
So
gesagt,
this
ich
would
werde
be
nicht
where you
wehtun.
fight Mia if you chose Zoe.
Oder
And you
was?
had to make that choice after Jack 3. But since obviously they did not pick Zoe, they picked Mia. They don't have to fight Mia again. Yay! Alright.
Mia, wie?
Wir haben keine
R's
Zeit.
back as Ethan.
Dummer.
Nix
Du
is
musst
back
hier
as
raus und sie
Ethan.
finden. Hier. Nimm das.
The character with the most personality in any Resident Evil game.
Was machst du da? Was machst du da?
Rette dein Leben. Du musst gehen.
Even Steve Burnside. I hate
kann
Steve
mich hier nicht
Burnside.
mehr lange
Just wanna throw that out there.
Nein,
Los,
And
bring
Har's
dein
back as
Miststück
Ethan,
um.
taking control.
Nein. Nein.
So this is going to be interesting. This is again a newer strat that is really new, actually. Traditionally, after this part, they're going to go into the water and they're going to go into the
zum Teufel bist du?
a save room. And normally the runners in that save room. I'm with you on that, Ronnie. Normally the runners would then grab the items that they need in that save room and then continue on for the rest of the game. That's not going to happen here. Horror and Nix are both going to grab the grenade launcher and just leave. They're not going to grab any of the New Game Plus items, none of that stuff. They're just going to grab the grenade launcher and leave. This is a newer strat. I don't know who found this one. I don't know if it was Ross or Nix. So don't quote me on either of that. But it is fairly new. And they're going to go through the salt mine. It was Ross. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ross. So it was Ross Rossi, who found this. You are going to grab the grenade launcher and just make your way through the salt mines until you get to the necrotoxin. Horror not doing that. So forget everything I just said. Horror going the more traditional route. Let's see what Nix does. Nix is going that route. Okay, so both runners are doing... Horror is doing the older strat, and Nix is doing the newer strat. So Nix is going to have all of his items at his disposal, so he won't run into really too many issues. Nix only has a grenade launcher with one fire round, and he's going to use it after exiting this elevator, and then that's it. Fortunately, most of the molded in this next section are very easily avoidable. So he shouldn't run into too many issues. He may take a cheap shot or two, because some molded get a little aggro sometimes. Hopefully that does not happen, but if it does, it's not a huge problem. So you get to see the difference where when the necrotoxin is being made, Nix is going to run to the item box that's very close to the necrotoxin, and he's going to get the items that he needs, whereas Horror is just going to do the necrotoxin and immediately leave as soon as he gets the necrotoxin. So he's just going to kind of stand around a little bit. I say that, and then he might just do something completely different, so who knows. But you wait for it to finish and then grab it and run, whereas Nix will take that time while it's being prepared to go to the item box. Again, that really hammers home the ability to try to do as much as you can in those downtime spots where you just can't really do anything, right? So the action can't continue, you can't really move on, you need to wait for this necrotoxin to finish, use that time wisely, and Nix is going to be doing it. And see, Horror just goes and... Okay, so Horror does do something. There we go. All he grabs is the steroid. Okay, nice. As you saw there, Nix went to the item box, got what he needed, grabbed the necrotoxin, and is heading to the next section. This is also the final retry of the game. And again, the most noticeable, like I said, it's about resetting your running speed. For the most part, PC, there's some where you kind of warp, so to speak, or you get positioned where you need to be. But this is one of those times where it's really important because you are running very quickly in this next section if you do retry. Also, it forces the molded to spawn a specific way, so that you're not surprised by certain molded as you're going up the salt mine. They will spawn the same way every time. Horror getting through the mine, no problem. Really nice. And then this is where the grenade launcher is most important, is using the neuro rounds here. There's going to be 2 fat molded that spawn. If you don't neuro round them, they will throw up while you're climbing the ladder and knock you off the ladder. It is really annoying, but if you hit them with the neuro round, you'll have a good amount of time to be able to get up that ladder safely. So, Horror just did that. Nix took the shot, and Nix is climbing the ladder now. Should be no problem. And guess what? We're back in the guest house, where it all started. And you get to relive painful memories of your wife brutally hurting you. But it's okay. Because it wasn't really her. I mean, it was her, but it wasn't really her.
Das ist deine Schuld.
Ethan, ist okay. Ist okay, ich bin's.
Ich weiß, du wolltest mir nicht wehtun.
And then the last...
Mami.
The last part, last time save that can happen here, I think Horror and Nix are going to do it differently, is the EV1 cycle. So they're going to go up and they're going to fight Evie, who is going to be doing these telekinetic sonic booms And you can get her in one cycle. Well, she'll do the first one to kind of introduce you to, I need to block here. And then if you move quickly and at a certain angle, you can immediately inject her and end that section of the fight. Or you can also do another strategy where you use a bomb similar to the bomb skip from earlier, and you project yourself, or I'm sorry, you send yourself flying at Evie and inject her. So Horror going the bomb route, done, easy. There's the one cycle on Evie right there. And Nix, I believe is gonna, Nix is gonna go for the
999.
Yep, perfect. So you got to see both runners do both strats, really nice. And they're both getting the one cycle on Evie. And now's the hardest fight in the game. Also, look at Evelyn's hair. Look at that. Look at all that wind coming from nowhere. It's blowing her hair. I love it. So this fight, as you see Horror doing, and Nix is going to do the same, just take the saw and just hold it on her until the next section starts. It's very reminiscent to the, I believe, what is it, the secret fight, or like the main ending fight in RE2 on the train. It's fairly similar to that, how it would normally play out. And this is the end. You do nothing. This big giant monster, and you do nothing. You just wait. Wait until Evie picks you up. They're gonna saw themselves down, at which point they'll drop. A Resident Evil staple, Chris Redfield, is gonna drop a weapon for us. And they're gonna shoot Evie in the face, hopefully at minimum, 4 times. And they will be done. So Horror getting picked up. Get cut down. Heck yeah. Nick's getting picked up. Horror picking up the Albert, or the new Albert, or the other Albert. Nick's getting cut down. Heck yeah. One, two, three, four, five. 5 from Horror. Okay, not a problem. So GG's on Horror. And 4 on Nix. Heck yeah. Great job from both runners. They are done. Technically not the timer, but they're done playing. GG's to both. Thank you very much, Seawolf. I appreciate that very much. All right. So now we're going to get the final time as to who won, who's taking home the gold in the finals. All right, Nix with a 128.01. No problem, Chinarino. You got it. It's always fun to do commentary. All right, let's see. Let's see. Is it going to be Horror? Is it going to be Nix? Oh, Horror making us wait. Horror being smooth. Oh, and that's it. Nix. Wow, by, what is it, 8 seconds? Dang. Nix takes it by 8 seconds. Congratulations, Nix, on being the winner of the PC Grand Finals, the RE7 PC tournament, speedrunner tournament. Congratulations. Heck yeah. Great runs. I will read the standings as we get them. And I'll read them off. There's also a few things that some people wanted to say. So I'll be reading those off as well. But really, really great. Congratulations, Nix. Nix coming from the Ethan bracket.
Wait, I won?
From round 2, where Horror and Nix
Wait.
did go 1-on-1.
Did I win?
Horror won that. Nix goes down into the Ethan bracket.
No way.
Crawls his way back up. Pure underdog.
No
underdog
freaking.
story, pushes Horror to round 2 and takes the win. Great job, Nix. Great job, Horror, by being such a tremendously great runner and holding it down. I'm going to get the standings here. Yasi just provided me with the standings. So I will be reading it from the
Hello?
bottom. Oh, yo, what up, Nix?
Okay. Does my mic sound okay? Just want to ask.
Yes. It sounds terrific.
Go for it.
So the standings, and hey, Horror. So in oh gosh, I don't like the way this is set up. I believe in tied for 9th, unless Yassi's gonna yell at me for reading it wrong. But in tied for 9th, we have Mango and Chase. In tied for 7th, I believe, if I'm reading this correctly. Yes, Mondo Mantra and Marforia tied for 7th. In 6th, I believe, is Quagnoth. 5th, we have Endless Devastation. 4th is Dust. 3rd, Captain Ezekiel. 2nd, HorrorDoesSpeedRuns. And 1st, congratulations to NixIssues. So awesome. Everybody did a tremendous job. I'll never remember how to read Mar. It is one of my downsides. So, Nix, congratulations. How do you feel about the run?
Honestly, I did not like my run at all, and I'm surprised I won. I thought Horror was going to get a 127. Every time I watched him through the restream, he was pulling off everything. I was like, okay, I'm probably going to get wrecked because I messed up too many times, too many easy things.
Yeah. Well, what did you feel you really messed up that bad? Because there wasn't anything too bad that I noticed.
So I messed up the barn fight with the fat molded in the elevator. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I was shooting it in the head, and I guess the damage is much less on the head. Yeah. I just tried it for the first time, and I was like, okay. So then I put in 2 bullets after the elevator opened, but then he didn't die, and then I freaked out. I missed my 3rd shot, so I had to reload, take my sweet time, shot it again, then it finally died, and I lost 3 seconds there, and I was just so devastated. Yeah. I was like, okay, that's going to lose me so much time. And then I messed up another thing. It was simple. Oh, I messed up the lantern skip. I missed that, and I lost another 4 seconds there.
Did you really? I didn't even notice that.
I missed it. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah. You did. Yeah. But you went for the shots though at Marguerite, so that could have helped.
Yeah, I got the 4-second time loss there, luckily not the 10-second one. Mm-hmm. The 10-second one's worse.
Yeah. Horror.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? You put on one heck of a race. So
yeah, it was a really good race for sure. I thought I did pretty well for most of the run. I did miss body skip at the very beginning of the run. That put me like 4 seconds behind. So I was like, okay, this is not a good start, but I can try to make it up. So, and then the middle of the part was good. And then I looked at Nix's stream and I noticed I was actually only like 5 seconds ahead going into the boat part. I thought I was more than that since the race stream makes it look like that, but
yeah, there was some issues with the restream where Nix's was freezing and it made him look, I think, a little bit further back than he might have been.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it threw me off too. I was like, okay, was that my stream? I checked my OBS and no, my OBS was fine.
Yeah, it could have been a restream issue, but either way, we care about the end game time. So
yeah.
But yeah, great job to both runners. Nix, like I said, pure underdog story. That was awesome, and to see you two have to battle out again and push into a second round in the grand finals is awesome. Tremendous runs from both of you. Is there anything you guys want to say? Because I know there's some speeches that need to be read off. So I don't know if any of you guys have anything you guys want to say about the tournament or anything in general.
I want to ask Horror about the guest house. What was your guest house when you finished?
1502.
1502. I had a 15. And I was so mad. I was
Yeah.
so mad. Both of us got such really bad guest houses.
Yeah.
Man. Again, I want to thank you guys thank Yasi and Speedrunners Arena for hosting this tournament. It's been fun. It was very long, and I blame myself as well. I took quite a while on one of my races to set it up, but thank you guys for being patient. And yeah, GG's Horror, GG's Captain, Dust, everybody that was in the PC bracket, GG's.
Awesome. Horror.
Cool. Yeah, this tournament was really fun. It was probably my favorite tournament of all speed runs I've ever done. Like the last tournament was good too, but this one was like really fun. And just again, thanks for SRA for hosting and all the commentators for every race for commentating and just
Definitely.
putting up the races. So, and then GG's to everyone that participated and GG's to Nix for winning.
Heck yeah. And then Jay, is there something that you wanted to say?
Yo, hello. How's it
Welcome,
going?
Jay.
GG Nix. That was that when those timers came up at the end, that was just it blew me away. That was great.
I was a little scared. Horror was taking a while. I was like, come on, Horror, show me the time.
It for all it's worth.
No, that was a super hype, fun tournament to watch. I really enjoyed the matches. A lot of really close races down to the last few rounds, especially the finals. I believe. Well, how many seconds separated the last race between you two?
6, I think.
Yeah, 6 seconds. That's really incredible. It really goes to show the consistency that you guys have, and that's just super. But yeah, so we just wanted to, everyone on behalf of all of SRA, basically, Vinicus, WJG helped out a lot. Just everyone here at SRA who was a part of putting this together, but mainly you guys in the Resident Evil community to even make this possible. The runners, the commentators, the people who are watching, everyone. It was great to have it here, and hopefully we can have some more Resident Evil based tournaments on SRA, and maybe next year a Resident Evil easy game, new game plus round number 2. Maybe Nix can defend his title. Maybe we'll see Horror and Nix in a second grand finals next year or something like that.
That'd be cool.
That'd be
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and I think we're a really new channel, so we had some growing issues in the beginning, but I think you guys were very, very respectful to that, and yeah, it was just a really good tourney. I think really, really good tourney. And the commentaries were fantastic, and we had a lot of good variety of commentators, which was really good to see. Just different commentators coming in and commentating the matches. That was really awesome to see.
Super good. Yeah. Everybody did a tremendously great job. So at least for me, big thank you to SRA for putting this all on and trusting in the RE7 community to be able to put on something cool. Big thanks to Yasi for putting it all together and getting everyone together to do this. She was the backbone of this whole thing. So really, really appreciate her for that. And everyone in the community, this last year has been awesome, at least for me as a runner who's been fairly new. Everyone's been super cool. Nix, you've been great. Yasi, Horror, Ross, everyone's been super cool and super helpful. And if anyone wants to run this game, please join the Discord. And everyone is so cool and willing to help anyone out because we all learn off of each other. So, Ross doing stuff in PC now is helping, everybody. And then the same thing with Ross too. Everyone's helping him out. So it's really, really cool. So thank you guys so much for that. And then I have a message from Venicus from SRA that he wanted me to read off. He says, after 3 months of being involved in your community, I can't stress how amazing you all are. As I got to know a few of you, there are a few things I started to look forward to in my week. The first and foremost is the smiley face splattered DMs between Yasi and myself as we scheduled matches. You did a lot of work putting this tournament together, Yasi. I'm really glad I was there to help any way I could. Secondly, the amazing commentary from LP Soldier, Morphoria, NixIssues, and Captain Ezekiel, to name the first few that come to mind. Everybody who did commentary was terrific. You guys definitely made the races exciting to watch and were the backbone of the races itself. And these matches wouldn't have been nearly as hype without any of you. And thirdly, this one's a good one. Thirdly, the weekly dose of Flurp having to get timed out. Which didn't get to happen today, but no matter what, Flurp, thank you for getting timed out at least once every race. I look forward to our next RE7 tournament. Hopefully get to know even more of the community as time goes on. Thank you again for letting us host this tournament for you. I couldn't have asked for better people to have done this for. So that was from Venicus, also from SRA. So thank you guys so much. This has been amazing. I don't know if anybody else has anything else they want to say.
No, that should be it. That's a good ending right there.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. That's the end of the PC Grand Finals. Congratulations to Nix for winning the PCN, Ross for winning the console end. This has been so much fun. I hope we get to do it again next year or whenever it is, because Lord knows the next one will probably take even longer because this took like 3.5 months. But that's okay because no matter what, we still all had fun. It was amazing, and you guys are the best. Everybody have a great afternoon, have a great weekend, have a great holiday, and we'll see you guys again soon.
And I will also leave off with on the 19th. So tomorrow we have the Dog Pound Classic. This is the EU friendly this will be 12 o'clock Eastern. So that's for Super Metroid. So if you're interested in Super Metroid and Dog Pound Classic, if you want more information on that, please join the Discord. And also on the 19th at 10 o'clock Eastern, we have what's called the All Hollow Nests Eve Hollow Knight Rando Expo. That's going to be put on by the Hollow Knight randomizer community. So if you're interested in Hollow Knight and interested in Hollow Knight randomizer, you should come back tomorrow night for that as well. And the RBO tournament next week, we'll have sometime Ponk versus Kip in the semifinals. The winner of that match will go on to face Shiny Zinni in the grand finals, and then the loser of the semifinal match will go on to the bronze match against Sloters. So tons of stuff still to come on SRA. But with that, thanks again, guys, and have a wonderful day. Language. Okay. Back to whatever the heck is going on with